So let's set the scene. Imagine spending the last few months anxiously waiting for the next TPOT episode, and your favorite character ends up being put up for elimination. Now, it happens again. He's put up for elimination. Again. Okay, so that's odd. 2 episodes in a row and in the bottom 2? Alright, let's just hope it doesn't happen again. But it does. He's up for elimination 3 times in a row, which isn't unheard of. Book in BFDIA has been up for elimination 5 times in a row. But bottom 2? If you know who I am, whether you're a friend or somebody who just watched my TPOT reaction videos, you would know Tree is my absolute favorite character of all of BFDI. Alright, don't kill me. Ever since I began watching BFDI in 2017, specifically early BFB, I've always considered Tree to be my favorite character. This video wasn't planned to be made anytime soon, and I was actually looking forward to making this in the summer. But after careful consideration by watching many people on Twitter upset about the TPOT 16 elimination, I figured I might as well make this now to explain why he's my favorite character. Now, before I start, I just want to thank the TPOT and BFDIA crew, as pumping out 2 20 to 30 minute episodes of animation in 2 months is just phenomenal. That is incredible work and dedication from an amazing group of people. The reason I'm specifically bringing this up is because of how challenging it is to balance 70 plus characters and their personalities, and be able to give all of them some screen time. The issue is, when there's 70 plus characters, people grow attached to them. Everybody has their favorites, and I bet you every single character on the show is at least someone's favorite. Wait, never mind, maybe not all. This video was made to explain why I like Tree so much, why I vote him every single elimination, and why I think he deserves to make it to the top 10 of TPOT. Not saying top 5 or even top 7, but top 10. I think there's a lot of potential with this character, just kind of overlooked. What I'm getting at is that it's very hard to write the characters all with these specific personalities, especially if 30 plus of them are introduced at the beginning of a season. I immediately took some fondness to Tree in particular. He seemed different from the rest of the cast. Much more rude, snarky, and kind of a know-it-all. When a lot of the characters in comparison are much more sillier, compared to, Lollipop, or Clock, or Tree, it kind of makes them stand out. Of course, a lot of Tree's earlier personality was made for gags. It's pre-split, of course, but it was still really nice to have a character who took the show very seriously. For example, BFB4 we had this scene.
Let me guess, do the whole challenge for me? You can't just turn off your ballpoint brain and ask this guy every time. A true winner does his research.
Or BFB9 with this scene.
Okay, are you done? Recover pie.
Or BFB15 with this scene.
I think this is a waste of time. We found a way to force him out. We could be leaving already.
I mean, we already found Pillow. I'd say we can just take our time. When's the last time you saw her emote this happy anyway? This is good for her.
Well, excuse me for wanting to be outside in the sun instead of this disgusting field of 4-shaped growth.
If we compare that scene with something from, TPOT 5, it's very different. This same attitude was something I really looked forward to in his character. And with 64 contestants, whenever he was on screen, it was something to look forward to. He only had to face 1 elimination in 16 episodes, which was pretty convenient for me, as Death Pact, if I remember correctly, had the best record of any team in pre-split. Now, once I found out that Tree was joining TPOT, I was very excited to say the least. A story-centric season having Tree in it? Some new dynamics with characters such as Fanny, Lightning, and I guess Marker? Yeah, I was hyped for TPOT. TPOT 1 especially showed Tree's snarkiness, with leading the team with the megaphone and having this silly little gag with Fanny's blades. However, he was put up for elimination in the first episode. Tree's fanbase was very, very different around 2017 to 2021. Not many people really cared for him. I would constantly watch little prediction videos, and I remember seeing that, little to none predicting Tree in first place, let alone top 10. He didn't have much going for him besides all the traits that I liked. So with the longer episodes, maybe he can be more fleshed out as a character. I already figured that Tree would be safe in TPOT 1's elimination, and the recorded totals already showed Pi getting eliminated in such an obvious turn of events. In TPOT 2, they really gave good amounts of screen time to Tree, and the rest of Death Pact again. Black Hole became much more prevalent as in pre-split, he really didn't do much, besides his very deadpan vocal delivery, which is awesome by the way. And this brings us to TPOT 3 to 6. Tree kinda lost everything he had. In those episodes, TPOT was taken in a much more light-hearted direction, minus a few scenes, which I absolutely didn't mind. It was important for the new writers to find their footing, However, in those episodes, Death Pact Again was put up for elimination for another 2 times. In those eliminations, luckily Tree was completely fine and unscathed. I could not say the same for his character, though. He really didn't add much to the challenges, only a few quips here and there, and his more blunt, snarky personality was just gone. He just kind of stood there and seemed happier. He logically helped his team in TPOT 4, and in TPOT 5 he helped Marker get the plates, and in TPOT 6 they introduced a treehouse to him, and showed that if people are inside of his head, he becomes drunk. Great. Now we get to my personal opinion about Tree's most interesting TPOT episode, TPOT 7, which served to be a little turning point in Death Pact. The team wasn't so much on the same page anymore, as Fanny rebelled against the Pact and Black Hole challenged her hatred. Tree and Marker were juxtaposed right in the middle, and Marker's stance was to defend the Pact, while Tree hesitates.
Stop to this already!
Why did we do this? Why did we make our team about preventing death when we keep losing? 3 of us are already out. We're getting ourselves eliminated from this nonsense.
It's a noble cause.
Even though Black Hole cuts him off, this was still very interesting, and this scene, in my opinion, could definitely play a part in expanding his character in the future. This simple little bit of dialogue, I think, can be used to make Tree more interesting again. Now let's get back to the main part of the episode. Yeah, Tree dies. Brutally. This is a massive plot point for the next 5 episodes of TPOT. His death was a center point in the Death Pact arc they had. However, he didn't really seem like he used to be. He kind of just became the plot point. He was stuck in a canal for 5 episodes. Luckily, he wasn't put up for elimination until TPOT 13. He was completely fine until the team swap, but in those 5 episodes, he didn't do very much. In TPOT 10, it was at least a little interesting having him be put up against Black Hole, but his original personality was still absent. To be honest, I was actually beginning to like Black Hole and Fanny more. I couldn't care less about Marker, though. Tree and Black Hole's interactions became less and less frequent. They weren't really shown to be best friends as much anymore, which is a little sad as they're the only 2 characters, considered a duo, to never be separated into different teams. By TPOT 12, Death Pact Again was a beloved team, and people already loved their dynamic. Black Hole being anxious about death, yet being a protector of all contestants despite his powerful abilities. Fanny was hateful, yet a voice of reason, and grew a massive fan base, with many wanting her to win TPOT entirely. Marker just being very silly and having a Roblox game. And Tree, he had what? Becoming a giant tree, having a treehouse. He didn't have anything. That's why I was so worried that before the team swap, Tree would have just been absolutely demolished in the vote counts. However, TPOT 12 saved him. Literally and physically. He became back to normal, yet his personality was still not there. Although, in this episode, he did make some snarky remarks, and at least felt a little bit more back to his pre-split self. Over the course of the next few episodes, people just stopped liking Death Pact, though. His new team was just Death Pact Again plus a few newbies. His friends would still be there, yet he had just a few more people he can talk to as well. But he had little to no interactions with Katie, and Robot Flower had that amazing fight scene, but that was about it. It's important to note that he was in the bottom 2 in both of those eliminations, yet survived. People went out of their way and voted to save him just because they saw how close he was into getting eliminated in TPOT 14. In TPOT 15, he was up for elimination a 3rd time. Now this is where I really lost hope. I was so worried that my favorite character would be eliminated just like this. His original sassy attitude was completely gone, and all he was just a shell of his former self. People would complain that Gady and Robot Flower, not so much Robot Flower, but a little bit, were both eliminated due to Tree, which isn't necessarily how eliminations work, but that's besides the point. I thought compared to everyone else on Death Pact yet again, Tree was screwed. The only person I could have seen him defeat in votes was Pin, and Pin is one of the most popular BFDI characters, so beating her in a vote battle was unrealistic. However, against all odds, Tree was victorious. He even got a token that could only be used during Merge, which caused major controversy. So to say I was ecstatic was an understatement. Tree is the only BFDI character to survive 3 bottom 2s in a row. So yeah, fun fact, I guess. He has a fan base, but they want him to do more. Not just silly quips and jokes, but more reasoning and logic, if that makes sense. And in that same episode, they make another plot point of Tree being used as a tree. Grassy controls him, like Ratatouille style. Yeah, it was funny. And I definitely think TPOT 16 was one of Tree's better episodes in TPOT. Now, what do I think about Tree right now? Of course, I still really think he's a great character, but especially after seeing so many different people mad that he's done nothing, yet made it this far, and given an advantage, definitely skews my views on him. He's still my absolute favorite, yet I was just still hoping that every single episode that goes by, that he would just go back to how he used to be. Or I would have at least preferred him becoming a sillier character to be a gradual thing, but it felt so sudden that one second he's a know-it-all, the next he's just dancing. In my opinion, there's a few different ways that can make Tree into a more interesting character, though. Now, I despise when people constantly call everything an arc, but if you were to give Tree some sort of character direction, then I do think that maybe having him have an intervention with Black Hole about the canal thing could be good for the story. Black Hole has never formally apologized for leaving him in that canal for months. And even though Black Hole has his own array of issues in the show, I think he's such a wonderfully written character. It's just creative. So I don't necessarily blame him for what happened, but having Tree be justifiably upset would also make sense. And in TPOT 7, we can go back to the hesitation on the pact. Maybe it's something to do with that. Or we can just go to him making some new friends, like Snowball or something. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. At the end of the day, this is just TPOT. I don't want to take this stuff seriously. The whole point of the video isn't to say, you're mischaracterizing Tree, but more so, hey, Tree is my favorite character and this is how I think he should be written in the future. I do think the community as a whole should prioritize constructive criticism rather than criticism towards individuals. So maybe this video could be a small step to look more so at the character and not the writers. And watching my favorite character lose what I liked about him the most was a little upsetting. Watching people hate each other over liking characters is absurd. But I guess to wrap all this up, Tree's a flawed character, but there's still time to expand on him. So, yeah, alright, see ya.